so some lady pulled in and looked at me pissing. Stood there. I'm done pissing. I shave, and then she drives away. Hour 15 easy on the trails. Stretching out, nothing fast. So whatever keeps my heart rate low, which I'm not even paying attention to my heart rate, it's just all by feel. All right, Travis, let's go.
Got the puffin.
Good, pop. Far away, man. There's no such thing.
So why do you guys carry your phones around?
Because we're playing Pokemon Go on an easy run. That's why. Keep your heart rate low and catch these Pokemon. They can't catch themselves unless you have an auto catcher. But even then, what you're trying to do is enjoy the slow run, and I enjoy it by playing Pokemon Go sometimes. Subscribe to my channel. Poke Run Go, or Run Pokemon Go. Pokemon Run Go. Pokemon Go Run. Pokemon. This is those times in life where you learn to leave wildlife alone and let it be wise.
No window pulled up.
No need to agitate it. I love you. Oh, they're babies! They're so babies! They're so babies!
Wanted to know about your channel and why you called it The Average Pro. Why do you call yourself The Average Pro?
All right, so I guess all that stuff started, I forgot what year, but I was having like a conversation with my dad, and not even just my dad, I think one of my uncles was involved too, and what sparked it was somebody said when I first started doing triathlon that the dream of being a professional was essentially unattainable. And that started when I was 14, 15. My dad took me to a pretty famous, he's like a sports psychologist who was also like a trainer.
Yeah.
Pretty famous. He was part of like the psychology team for the New York Giants, and he did something with like the Denver Broncos. Real successful guy, and he lived in Houston. And my dad was actually, painting his house. And my dad took me there to meet him and to ask him, because my dad was curious to because I was a chubby kid, I was kind of fat, and that was before, you found out that you're fat because you eat a lot, not because genetics. No, I just ate too much as a kid. But I went and spoke to this guy, and my dad was introducing me to him and all that stuff, and the guy said, what sport do you play? And I said, I'm a swimmer and I'm trying to be a triathlete. That's my passion. And he looked at me and he didn't laugh, but he kind of just looked at me and almost, not, I want to say disgust, but that's what it felt like what the hell are you talking about? And he said, swimming. And I was like, yeah, I'm a swimmer now and I want to be a triathlete later. And he said, you can't do that. Like, you're not built for that. You're not even on the average body line to be that. You're too big. And he was pretty much very adamant in me wanting to be a runner or a swimmer or a triathlete of any sort. He said, go play football. That's what he said. You're big enough to be football. Your body type's for a football player. You can keep eating as much as you want. Just get real thick and then just play the line. Or you know, get real jacked but stay big and be a linebacker. Like, that was his take on it, and it pissed me off. It made me really mad, and it made my dad mad, because you had this guy who's very successful, very like well known in his industry and all this stuff, but didn't know me as an athlete, me as a person, me as like what my goals and dreams, and he just wrote it off. Like, immediately. I'm talking about, it was like a 5-minute conversation. He wrote me off. He's like, you don't have the body type, too fat, plain and simple. And I wasn't offended by him calling me fat, because I have my dad to tell me that every day. But I was offended because he wrote me off. He said I wasn't even at average. He said I wasn't even at average level. Fast forward to that conversation I was having with my uncle and my dad, and they're like, you know, you look pretty average. You don't look like those professional runners. I mean, you don't look thin like a professional runner. You don't look like you have a low top, high, or a big bottom like a professional cyclist. You know, you don't look like a swimmer. You're not jacked and ripped like one of those like sprinters and all this other stuff. And I was like, you're really an average person. It pissed me off. And I was like, so what if I'm average? I don't care. That doesn't matter. I'm not very strong. I'm not very good. I just worked my ass off, and I got recognized at some point. They utilized me for a little bit, but I was able to keep my pro card, and then I got my pro license to get like the USAT pro license, the USA pro license, and I did that criteria. And I know there's a whole conversation that's easy to do and all this stuff, but I did it. I did what I wanted to do, and I'm happy that I did it. And I'm still busting my ass to further myself. But this whole time, the thing in my head is that I've been an average person. I don't come from money. I'm an immigrant from Venezuela. Like, my parents had it really hard here, and so have I. So the reason I chose the average pro triathlete is because growing up, I was considered below average with body, but also below average in the statistical realm of success in this world, or at least in the United States, where it's like, if you're an immigrant, you're undocumented, or don't have all your documents, you might just have like a passport, you might have a worker's visa, or even like a tourist visa. You know, you don't have the genetics that most of your peers have. You don't live in high altitude. You don't live in Colorado. You don't live in like the prime spots that are good for multi-sport. There is nothing here. Our pool was built in 2001 for a population of 9,000 people. We're 64,000 people in this. The pool still stands, and it's underutilized, and it's a piece of garbage. The swimming isn't a thing here. Running isn't a thing here. Cycling definitely isn't a thing. So even through all those odds, being an average person or a below average person and still chasing the dream even to this day, I feel like the average pro triathlete hits my mark at least a little better than most. I won't stop though. I'd rather die. 7.5 quarter.
Perfect age.